Coach Drew Joyce III and student athlete John Ugly IV. We'll ask Drew to make an opening statement, and then we'll open up for questions. Go ahead, Coach. All yours.
You know I'm totally against opening statements.
You go do it.
So I'll go against the grain. I usually don't do a whole lot of opening statements, especially after games. I kind of let you guys do your thing, but I guess I'll give you a little outlook into the season. I'm super excited for our young men, our group. We've had a terrific summer, a great preseason. Now we're on the heels of the season coming up in about 3 weeks or so. But it's been a welcome challenge to build this, to help build this team with my staff as well. I think this group is highly competitive. They've poured into each other from day one, and that's one of the toughest things to do is build a connection within the team. And it can't only just come from the staff. We do have to drive our standards and our message, but you need guys that believe in you, that buy in, and John has been one of those guys. He's had a lot of experiences over his college career, and going into this last hurrah, he's had an unbelievable focus. He's wanted to be a leader. He's working harder than ever before just to, make sure that as he goes out in this last year, that he gives it everything that he has. And I think that's poured into the rest of our players as well too, to not take any moment for granted and to just give it your best each and every day. And we'll continue to do so. And like I said, I'm excited to have new additions to our team, and then some old returning members as a David Dixon, a Jakob Netchis, and Jake DeMichael. It's also a huge plus to bring back 60% of our minutes and our roster. We're in a landscape where it's hard to retain players. I feel very fortunate that I have a group of young men that not only want to play for me, but enjoy their experience here at Duquesne University, the city of Pittsburgh, and want to finish their legacy here. So I'm super thrilled and excited for what's next to come.
Questions?
Jack Morgan, A10 Talk, and this one's for John. What impacted your decision to come to Duquesne, and I guess more specifically, did Drew Joyce play a role in that?
Yeah, just coming back to Duquesne, it was kind of a no-brainer to me. I love the city like my city, Cleveland. Being back in Pittsburgh means a lot to me. Playing for a coach like Coach Drew means a lot. Just before me coming, just chatting with the players that he had on his roster, was a huge thing. So talking to guys like Dave Dixon, Cam Crawford, Yak, it was good for me. And so it was kind of, like I said, it was a no-brainer to come back to Pittsburgh and come play my last year here.
Well, I hope I played a role. Jeez.
Of course, man, of course.
Thank you, man.
Of course.
Drew, Zach Weiss, Pittsburgh Sports Now. I feel like I've asked you this question a gajillion times, but we'll go gajillion in one. When you looked in that mirror ball, that crystal ball, trying to find the formula for this in the offseason, what were some of those key factors in terms of finding the temperature for this team, and how did you go about looking for that?
It's great to be past year one and to go into year two. You always get asked, what's it like sitting in the seat over, right, when you're an assistant coach, and you don't really know till you get in that seat. You can't predict the moments. You have no idea, no matter how much you've prepared. And I felt like I did prepare a lot, but also I learned a lot. I had to evaluate myself, my staff, the direction of how I wanted to build the program and lead the program going into year two. And I think one of the biggest keys, it started in the off season, was just the amount of research that we did to find out how to improve in certain areas, and also the patience that we had to make sure that we built with the right players, that we really went after what we thought were players who were going to make us successful based on the things that we needed to add to our roster. And I think that's going to play a huge role going into this season. We'll still carry the same defensive intensity, but for all my Duquesne supporters and this row of media here that turns up at every game, and after every game, they know we've had our struggles offensively. And that was a huge thing for me to accept and also try to build a better version of our offense. So I'm not going to give any hints or anything like that, but I think we'll make some improvements in that area.
Coach, I just have one for you, one for John. Building on that for a moment, year one to year two, it's not like you had never been around when you took over the job. But on the other hand, as you reflect back on that first year, did you do self-scouting? Did you look at yourself? Did you look at the team, things that you'd like to do differently? And is it seemingly a growth experience? And John, you once saw this program from another part of Pittsburgh, of course. Mm-hmm. Once you got in the building, what have you seen about Duquesne?
I seen in the. Oh, you gonna go first?
Go ahead, you got it.
My fault, big dog.
He said a lot. I'm probably going to forget what he said.
No, just, the people in the building, it's ever since I stepped into the building from day one, it's been love, everyone in the building, I'm a great guy, they see my daughter, see my girlfriend, it's all love, so just the city accepting me back here, it's a huge thing for me.
I think I remember parts of your question, so year one, year two, that's the basis of it. Well, I have been around. Yeah, I didn't come out of nowhere, but I thought you said that. So, but yeah, it is growth, right? And you do, before I point any fingers, right, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror first. I always have and I always will, because, the decisions that happen on the court, they start with me. The team that's on the court is a reflection of, the habits that I was able to build or not build, the fundamentals that I taught or didn't teach. It's a direct reflection of not only myself, but my staff as well. So, I looked directly at myself first, and I watched every single game over and over again to figure out what was it that I could have done better. And then I congratulated myself too. I did that right. I made the right decision. So you got to give yourself some love as well too. Everything wasn't all bad.
Big John, for you, you've played at a high level throughout the whole course of your career. Mm-hmm. Now you're at Duquesne. A lot of people have a perception it's not as high a level as where you played. What do you think about that?
And I say you absolutely wrong. I feel like this is still the highest level of basketball. The A-10 is a great conference, great players. I think this team is a high major team that Coach Drew has put together, as far as our depth, our guards, our freshmen who's in here. I feel like this is we conduct practices like we're at a high major. We don't look at it any different.
I think we got to kill that perception amongst the entire league and media that there's any drop off when it comes to A-10 basketball. Like, this is high level basketball. When you help young men achieve success and achieve their goals and dreams, right? And you're putting people in the professional ranks. This is high level basketball, and I don't want that notion going around anymore. And I'm not pointing a finger at you because I know how you feel about the A-10, right? But we really got to uplift this conference because this is a great brand of basketball, and it's been unfortunate at times that it hasn't been looked upon with the right spotlight. It hasn't been given enough credit for the competitiveness each and every night. We'll go up against any league, and we've proven that year after year, time after time. We don't get credit for coming into the season and 10 out of the 14 teams being in the top 100, right? We should get tons of credit for that. And when you go into a gym and you beat that team or you lose to that team, nothing should change in that instance, right? It should be given a lot of credit. And sometimes it gets swept under the rug entirely too much, but we deserve better.
Tyler Cronin, 3-bid league. John, for you, first couple of months with this new team, new coaching staff, what are some of the things that they've been pushing you to try to get better at for this season?
Be a better leader, just learn how to control emotions, just being that big brother to these guys. I've been in college for 6 years, so, I got to step up and be that voice in the locker room and on the court that them guys need. We got to we got a lot of freshmen, sophomores on our team, so, them guys don't know the ropes of this thing. I've been playing college basketball for 6 years now, so just being that leader, being that everyday guy, just being a monster.
Second row.
John, over here, Will Graves with the AP. You just touched on, you've been in college a long time, you moved around. What have you learned about assimilating into a new environment and, making, not just from a basketball standpoint, from an academic standpoint, from a social standpoint? And, that's kind of hard to get. What have you learned to sort of help each transition maybe get a little more comfortable than the last?
Just having a great group of teammates. I feel like, I've been, the past 3 years, I done jumped around schools. I feel like each year has been a great stop for me. I've been walking in each spot, with my teammates, just them making me feel like they're brothers, the guys who's been there showing me the ropes. So I feel like it's pretty easy, especially coming back to a city like this, other than Pittsburgh.
Yeah, John, Matt Press, Post-Gazette. Kind of along those lines, just you mentioned playing basketball for a while. Just in terms of perspective, what's different now for you, 5, 6 years later, and just what have you learned about yourself kind of through this journey of college basketball?
The game, the game has slowed down a lot for me, just me having a great feel and IQ for the game, just seeing things differently, than a freshman would see it.
Tristan, last question.
Question for both of you. For Tristan Freeman from Bustin' Brackets. For John, when you left, you dealt with a serious injury, and you talked about the adversities that you've gone through. Just from a mental perspective, what has the last few years been for you, and how have you developed on that end?
Oh man, I get to wake up and see my beautiful daughter every day, so that's the smile I need every morning to keep me going.
And then for Coach, on statistically, the big loss for the team was Trey Dinkins, who's not preseason Texas second teamer. But in case can you make that another big loss was Kareem Rozier, who was a team leader for the last 3 years. How has, just from the leadership void, have that been filled this offseason from the current players?
Leadership can come in all different forms, sometimes you can point directly to someone and understand and know, like, hey, that's the leader. And sometimes you just have a group mature enough to make sure that they all take on leadership roles. And that's what I encourage more than anything. Kareem was great for us, and also Trey Dinkins at running the show and leading our backcourt last year. And congrats to him on being a preseason nominee. But I have a group of young men that know what I expect. They know our standards. And the great thing about leadership is like I said, it could be done in a whole lot of forms. And I have a group that leads by example, and they hold each other accountable. So I think leadership inside our locker room is strong.
That's it. All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go Dukes!
First off,
No more opening statements. Don't even think.
Really good comments from Drew Joyce
Yes.
about the conference, and he's 100% right. We talked about it, but it's like you got to get him on the committee so we can change some of these rules and regulations to how they're ranking teams. I'm going to call John Dr. John because he's been around, obviously, Pittsburgh, Oklahoma, Xavier, now Duquesne. Did play a lot last year, so now he's going to be in a different role this year, so we'll see what happens with Duquesne.
Yeah, a lot of experience for sure there. And
Yeah.
he referenced his beautiful daughter, so he's got a lot going on and a lot to be his why, if you will.
Let's go back to Pitt. Seth's with us once again. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Mike? I'm with Coach Joyce and obviously Big John Hughley. And first of all, Coach, last year you had a ton of injuries. What did you learn and what did you gain, being that you returned 60% of your scoring?
Well, health, it takes health to win games, right? And we weren't as healthy as we needed to be. But, I do want to applaud the guys who did step up, because every time, one guy goes down, it presents a new opportunity. So we had a lot of players step up, like a Cam Crawford, who became one of the best three-point shooting guards in the whole A10, and also an elite perimeter defender. So sometimes it's unfortunate, but sometimes it's also an opening and a blessing for another young man to really step in and show what he can do. So, man, you talk about death, and for a coach, you never really know if you have it until you have to rely on it.
Yeah, well, talking about that, you got 60% of your offense back. but you also have a couple of additions. And this guy right here has been well-traveled, John, but you have a chance to be one of the great stories in college basketball. And Coach, I'm going to go to you first on this. What's your vision for him this season?
My vision for John, number one, is to be the best version of himself each and every day. He's packed with talent, right? He understands the game. He's been coached well through different coaches and different programs. So he understands basketball and can play it at a very high level. I just want him to be consistent in his daily routine, see the best version of himself, and chase after his goals and his dreams. And then be able to go home and take care of his family.
Speaking of your family, you got a little one.
Yes, sir.
What is your motivation now, and why did you come, in a lot of ways, back home to Pittsburgh?
Man, my biggest motivation is, seeing my daughter, putting my daughter to sleep every night and seeing her wake up, just with so much joy and happiness to her day. That makes my day right there. That gets me going. And just being able to come back to this beautiful city of Pittsburgh. Coach Drew gave me an opportunity, showcase my talents. Not even just on the basketball court. As a young man, as a father. Coach Drew's a father, so he's helping me in ways just besides the basketball court. So I really appreciate him so much for that. And, just thankful for this city. Just bringing me back with open arms.
I'll tell you one thing. I think we're going to see the best version of this big fella, and it is amazing. If you stay healthy, and you got dudes, we all become better coaches.
Absolutely.
Back to you, Mike.
Yeah, and I think that's just a perfect fit for Big John coming back there, right? You better watch out. He's going to box you out.
I know.
Right there.
I was like, dang, you're going to get,
Keep me off the glass. I'm not going to the glass against you.
You tighten you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, love a good girl dad, though. That was so sweet.
Special for him.
Absolutely. Very sweet for him to say that.
Yeah, and looking for a big year out of him, too, because last year, more of a reserve role at Xavier, like 3 points, a couple rebounds. So now you get to come home, you feel good, you have your family, there's a lot to play for.
Right.
And it seems like him and Drew have aligned pretty well with what they just said today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that he said, I'm going to lean on my coach for not just the basketball things and the tactical X's and O's. I'm going to ask him about fatherhood as well.
Right.
So he's leading him on and off of the court, character-wise, and other ways that go unspoken often.